Hello and welcome to Virtual Open House. My name is Joseph Hall and I am very excited to be your student's pre-calculus teacher for this school year. So what I'd like to do today to talk to you a little bit about my course expectations and what your child will be learning in pre-calculus this year is I'm going to share my screen here and show you a little bit of a presentation that I have that has some of the information about the course and some of the expectations surrounding what we'll learn in pre-calc this year. So this will be showing up on your screen momentarily. And if I go too quickly through any of this information, or if you have questions, please feel free to email me and I'll show you my email at the end of these slides. So first and foremost, just a little quickly about me. This is my 16th year teaching in Fairport. I got married on Pi Day to another math teacher because that's the rule. When two math teachers get married, it has to be on the famous math holiday of Pi Day. We have 3 kids together. Elodie, who's in the middle down here, she's a 2nd grader at JA this year. And we have 4-year-old twins who just recently started preschool. So if I jump right into a little bit about the course, students who are in pre-calc have successfully completed Algebra 2 the year before. When I say successfully completed Algebra 2, what we typically look at for students to take pre-calculus is that they worked hard and they have a great work ethic and they were maintaining an average typically above an 80 for this for Algebra 2. And the course topics that they'll learn about this year are listed below, many of them which build upon topics that they learned in Algebra 1 and certainly Algebra 2. So factoring is a topic that definitely they've learned in prior years of math. We certainly extend that idea and build upon some of the skills within factoring in this course. Functions will be something they're very familiar with, polynomials, and we eventually get into some topics like advanced trigonometry, matrices, conic sections, and then an intro to calculus that really are brand new for them. And it's something that will greatly prepare them and help them should they take a calculus course at some point, whether that be at Fairport High School or whether that be as a freshman in college. I would say that our pre-calculus course prepares students extremely well for that next step, which would be to take Calculus 1. The course materials that are required would be a 3-ring binder. Many of the course materials that I give to students will be hole punched and maybe some packets. So that's the best way for them to keep organized is if they have a binder. I would like them to have some lined paper and graph paper for note-taking purposes. Of course, if we need to do some graphs on a given day in class, having access to some sheets of graph paper is great. And then also something to write with is great. Pen or pencil doesn't matter to me. The last thing I want to talk about, though, is the graphing calculator piece. A graphing calculator is required for this course and has been so for the past few school years. So they would have needed one last year in Algebra 2 and probably in geometry as well. So if your child doesn't have a graphing calculator or has lost it over the years and you would like them to borrow a graphing calculator, we do have some that I can lend out as if I was signing out a textbook. So if that is something that you're interested in so that you don't have to purchase another one, please have your student communicate that with me and I will definitely set them up with a calculator if they need one. So the math department has a grading policy that is a standard across all courses in our department. The homework for this class will count for 10% and tests, quizzes, and projects will count for the other 90%. Tests and quizzes are given on almost a weekly basis, maybe once every other week, depending on the unit. And we will have a midterm exam in January and then a final exam in June. So the final exam in June is not a New York State Regents exam. These are both tests that are teacher made and teacher created, and they are specifically related to the content that is covered in the first half of the year for the midterm, and for the final exam, just the second half of our course, just the second semester. This year, I'm going to be using something called a flipped classroom, and your child may or may not be familiar with what a flipped classroom is, but at this point, they've already gotten started with me, and they've done some of this already. So I'll explain to you very briefly here what a flipped classroom entails, and basically each night for homework, your students will be watching videos, which may be something that they've done before, maybe not though. Videos will be posted in Google Classroom, which I'll show you momentarily, and we're going to be using an application called Edpuzzle. The videos will range from 15 to 20 minutes. I will say that some of the videos are less than 15, and maybe there's a few in there that are just over 20 minutes. Each video has 2 questions that students will answer, and the students do need to watch the entire video in order to receive credit for this assignment. And the credit that I'm speaking of is credit that would be granted them as a homework grade. So if the students watch the full video, answer the 2 questions, even if the questions are incorrect, they will get credit for completing their homework that night. So what happens is the next day we come back to class and I plan on recapping a little bit of what they would have learned in the video. So that recap might take somewhere from 10 to 15 minutes, and then students will work on practice for the remaining time in class. And during that practice time, I'll be able to walk around, check in with them. I will encourage them to work with other students as needed if they're struggling at all. But it really is flipped of what traditionally happens, where that practice that's happening in class, that used to be the homework. We're sort of flipping those two ideas so that this way I can get a really good sense as to what your students need some help with from me, and what kind of skills they're good at already based on watching the video and then doing some practice. So like I was saying, I'll show you Google Classroom momentarily here, but everything will be posted there, including the daily note packets. The videos using Edpuzzle will be posted there as well. So they should be checking Google Classroom regularly. And before I show you that, I'll tell you very quickly that Math Assistance is available all 9 periods a day. So if your student needs help ever, they can use Math Assistance as sort of a drop-in math help period, whether it's a lunch that they have or a study hall. They can go to Math Assistance and receive help from a teacher there all 9 periods. Additionally, I'm available in Math Assistance one of those periods, but also before and after school. So if your student ever expresses that they're struggling with pre-calc, certainly encourage them to come see me for extra help at a time that we have in common. So I'll show you Google Classroom, what that looks like really quickly for your child. And this is what the classwork section tab looks like for them. So you can see here some of our opening information that they went through with me on day 1 of our course. But if I scroll down here, we have the packets listed at the bottom. So if your child ever forgets their unit packet in school or in their locker, they'll have access to it here in Google Classroom. We have some agendas here. So this agenda would take your students through the first couple of weeks of our course, and it will be posted and updated as we continue on throughout the weeks here. So the nice thing about the agendas is it tells the students what type of video they're watching each night, and then when important things like tests and quizzes are coming up. So you can see they have a quiz here and a quiz there. So the students will have access and know well in advance what they're practicing in class, what the video topic is that they're watching each night, and then when all tests and quizzes will be given. So they'll have the agendas there. And then you can see that our Unit 1 on factoring, here are all the videos that your students have watched already for me, which is great. So they get here through Google Classroom, click on a video, and then they watch it and turn it in via Edpuzzle. And then also I'm able to grade that assignment as a homework in Google Classroom here. Your students have done a fantastic job with this so far, but if you ever have any more questions about this or they have some questions for me, please encourage them to reach out and let me know. So if I bring us back to the slideshow real quick, last but not least, I have my email address at the end here. So like I was saying at the beginning, if anything was too quick today, or if you have follow-up questions, I know that flipped classroom can be pretty new for both students and parents alike. So if you have anything you want to check in with me about, I'd encourage you to send me an email at jahl on the screen there, jahl@fairport.org. And if you call the high school, they can give you my extension as well if you'd like to chat on the phone. So I really look forward to working with all of your students this year, and then I will be in touch with you as needed. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Have a great rest of your day.